Welcome to the third part of the tutorial series. So in the previous tutorial we have seen that how we can set up the backend, and then we are trying to plug the front end to the backend. So let's see how the backend will fare against what we have done up to this point, and then let's run the backend and make sure that it works fine. So let's do that. So here let me go ahead and run the backend. So this is the backend files, I think. No, it's in the YouTube folder. Yeah, here. So in order to create the backend, also we need to initialize that with package.json. So I'll just do an npm init. Yeah, I'll make sure, yeah, it doesn't matter the name or something. So entry point is server.js, test command, git repository none, author, yes. So what it will do is that it creates a package.json, so we can install the necessary packages for the server.js. Let's inspect the package.json just to make sure everything is right. Okay, so yeah, now we can start npm start or npm run start, and it will throw an error. That's obvious because we have not installed anything. So we have to install Express. So npm install Express. We are also using body parser, so let's do that also. Body parser and course, then multer. So these are the packages that we need to install. And so with this, if we look at the package.json, it will list those packages as the dependency, so we can manage that from there. So now we can run it once again. Okay, there is another module that we need. Let's see, get video duration. Yeah, so get video duration, that is the package which is used to generate the duration of the video. And also I think we need better SQLite 3, I think. npm install. Let's let me look at the name of that thing. Better SQLite, I think that's the name, better SQLite 3. Okay, so let's install that also. npm install better SQLite 3, and also we need yeah, maybe SQLite 3 will be a dependency of that. So so let's run it once again. npm run start. Something happened. So it just started and then stopped. Oh, it's because we have not set the app to serve on a particular port. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have declared the port here, but we are not using that port, so we need to serve the app from that port, or else it won't work. So for that, let's go ahead and make sure that it is listening on that particular port. app.listen, and we can use the port there and pass an anonymous function to make sure that we can log that server started. server has started. So you can just use app.listen port and that's fine. So now we are listening on this particular port 3000, and also we need to serve the files through Express, because I think we are using the request video slash file name. Sorry, we are using the assets, images and file name to serve the thumbnails of the videos, but that's fine for now, so we can set it up later. So let's run the server now. So and yeah, the address is in use, so let's change that because I am running some other thing in that port. So let's make sure that the port is not being used. So let's okay, so now the server has started on that port. Some error has occurred, sorry. So let's check where the error happened. I can see where I am printing the error. Server has started, has been printed. I can see that, but let's go ahead and use that in the front end. So in the front end, let's look at the config if we have where service. No, so let's go ahead and create a service which will use this API, and let's upload the file using this API. Okay, so we have to plug the I can upload to this API. So this is where we have to plug the API. So before that, we need a file which we are going to use to connect to the API. So let's go ahead and create that. So I'll make a folder for the API. So I'll name that services, and then inside that folder I will make a file called api.ts. So that will be the APIs. So here we can go ahead and I'm using Axios for the API request. You can use fetch also, but I'm comfortable with Axios, so I'm using that. So I'm importing Axios, so we need that in the front end, and then I'm going to declare my URL here. So you can actually use multiple methods to make sure that you are passing the URL correctly. So most of the time what we do is that we will pass the URL as an environment variable, so that you can change it on the go, and you don't have to hard code the URL on a Git or any kind of like version control system. So but since we are not going to scale this up and use something like version control system here, so I'll just go ahead and declare my URL here. I'll use URL as HTTP and localhost. So you may need to change this URL sometimes, because if you are going to use this in the local setup, you may want to mention the host name of the server that you are in. So like if you are serving from your desktop or laptop, you may want to add the host name as the URL there, so you can access that from the local network. So here I'm just going to declare localhost as my URL. So yeah, I'll mention that as in capital letters to make sure that it's a constant, and then we can make an API to upload the file. So I'll just go ahead and create that API. So export async function. So I'm using an asynchronous function because APIs are always, HTTP requests are always asynchronous. So we have to make sure that the API request is gone, and then it fetches the results, and then we are only able to work upon that result. So we need to make sure that it's an asynchronous request, and then we are passing the file. So there I can mention that as the type file, but for for the convenience I am just mentioning it as any. So here I have to declare a form data, because if you are uploading a file, you have to include it inside a form data. That's the easiest way to upload a file. So here I'm going to append the file as video file. I think that's the name we have given to the variable in the API. So let's go ahead and check if that's the name, video file. So here, yeah, so we are taking the file as video file, so we have to mention that in the front end. So this is the name that we are taking the file as. So I'll mention that here. So then I will go ahead and do the API call. So since we are mentioning an asynchronous function, we can wait for that. Axios dot post. So the method is post, as far as I remember. Let's check. Yeah, here we are expecting a post request, so we have to make sure that we are using the correct method here. So then I will pass my URL, and I'll add the correct URL. So the URL that we are expecting is upload video. So that's the URL. So I could do it a little bit neat, I think, using the backticks. So then I can just use this URL and slash upload file. I think upload video, and then I could pass the API data. So here I could add the form data. I don't know why it is not working. Okay, let's go ahead and add the form data here. Pass the form data, and since we are using the form data, we have to make sure that it is recognized in the server side. So for that we have to add the headers here, and the headers would be of the type content type and multi-part form data. So content type would be multi-part form data. So this will make sure that the server recognize this as a request which has a file, so it will properly use the use the correct backend to process that data. For example, we are using body parser, and here we are mentioning that we are using these two functions, body parser and the JSON functionality inside the body parser, and also the URL encoded data. So if the server understands that this has a form data which has a file, so it will use the appropriate engines to decode that thing. So or else it won't work, so you have to pass that, and then after that we can return the response. So the API is done. So it's complaining that it is not finding Axios because we probably haven't installed Axios. So let's go ahead and install Axios. So if you are using fetch, you don't have to, because it's, I think, inbuilt. Run dev, I think that's what we are using here. So yeah, it went away because we have installed that. Now since we have a service and API, we can use that in our stores to fetch this API when we click the upload button. So let's do that now. So we can go ahead and connect these two things. So for that we need to first of all go ahead and declare the API, connect the API. So let's go ahead. Where is the yeah, here is where we define the functions. So let me go ahead and there is something that we need to consider when we are using the file uploader. So normally to upload a file, you have a input which has the file type. So let's add a file input and let's see how it looks. So I would add an input and type would be file, and if you check that, you can see that it would be because I have mentioned the 3000 API, it was showing that, but now it's fine. So it will add a file input selector here, but the problem with this thing is that it looks ugly. So most of the time it's very hard to control the design or how it looks. So we cannot we can just hide this thing and trigger that when we click the upload icon. So we can have any design we want, we can have any button or any design, and then we can trigger the file input selection. So that's what I'm going to do here. So because it looks bad and it's very hard to add CSS and make it look nicer, so I'm making it hidden. So for that I will add a class hidden. This is the class which comes with a Tailwind, so we can just add that and it will be hidden. And I'm adding a reference to this element, so file element, and then I would have to import a ref from view here, and let's define that constant here, constant file element equal to ref. So when this file this element renders to the DOM, it will be assigned to this variable, so we can reference that using that variable inside our code, so that's very convenient. You don't have to use JavaScript for that. And we have to make sure that it only accepts MP4 or MOV. You can add as many extensions you want here. So this will tell the browser just to make sure filter that these kind of files when we are selecting. So that's very convenient. And then we can now add an event to this input type. Before that, we can add a click listener in the icon upload, so that when we click the icon, it will trigger the input. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will add a click event here at click, and I'll do file upload. I will name it do file upload. And then in the script tag we have to define that function. So constant do file upload. This would be a normal property because this is an action. So here so this is where this file elements comes into play. So we can access that file element here, and then in the value we get the whole HTML element, and we can trigger any JavaScript functionality from there. So this will trigger a click on this input type. So this will not be shown, but it will react to the click. So let's see if that works. So we can see the icon. So when we click that, it will trigger the the response, and if we can go to downloads, it will only show these files like MOVs and MP4. So all other files are like blurred out or hidden, grayed out, so that we can only select MP4. So here is a sample MP4 that I have. So this works. So since we have not plugged into the API, it will not do anything, of course. So let's go ahead and now plug in the functionality. So for that we can tap into the change events of the input. So that's what we are going to do next. So here we need to access the API also. So that's another thing that we need to do. So for that before that we have to plug the API to the store, so that we can use store here to to track the changes that the API brings in. So this is necessary so that we can get the files, upload the files and get the response, and then trigger some changes based on that. So I'll add this API, connect the API to the store. So for that we need to define a store. So like there is a counter store that comes as a default. I don't want to do that. I will define a main store.ts here, and then I'll get rid of this. Maybe I don't need this. This is the default store that Pinia creates, so I don't want that. I'll delete that counter store, and then let's go ahead and define a main store in Pinia and plug the API there. So for that I need the import store. the define store from Pinia. So define store from Pinia, and then I can export the store from here, use main store. So this is a convention that Pinia uses, so you have to name the store starting with use. So that's convention, it's not necessary, but yeah, let's get rid of this for the time being. And then inside that we have to define a name, a unique name for the store, and then a function. And then here we can define a anonymous function. So in Pinia, unlike vue3, we have like we can use the composition API, the same strategy that we were using in the composition API we can apply here. So the what can I say, the store variables are now constants. If we define a constant, then it will be treated as a store variable. So here we need to define a function to upload the file. So let's go ahead and do that. So for that we can mention a function. So functions are similar to actions in vue3. So if you are if you want an action, then you can use the normal functions and it will be treated as an action. And for mutations, I think the computed values are treated as mutations, and the stored data would be the normal constant variables with ref or reactive. So here upload file, I'll name it as upload file, and it will receive a file because we need to upload the file. So and then here we can import the upload file API, which we define in the services API. So here we have imported that, and then use that to upload file API, and it will also take a file. And then we need to use the then constructor because this is an asynchronous function, so we need to wait till the function returns a response. So that's why. So if after we get the response, then we can use that file somewhere. So let's just console log the response, whatever that may be, so for the time being. So that's we have defined the function here. So now we can return that so that we can use it when we call the store. So I'll return this from the store. So then we can go back to the let's go back to the upload icon, and here we need to tap into the change of input. So we can we can find out if change happened when we select a file. So a change, do the real file upload, Okay, I have defined a function here, do real file upload. Okay, so now we have to define that function. So do real file upload. So for that we need to import the store, connect the store here. So I'll import what was use main store from @stores / main store. Okay, so we have imported the store, and then we can plug that into a variable here, use main store, and that's how you use store. So now we can access that store variable all inside this file. So here, when we are doing the real file upload, we can tap into that so for that, before that, we need to get that file. So since we have mentioned file element here, we can access the files from that variable. So here, let file equal to file element dot value dot files of 0. That would be the first file that we uploaded. So then we can tap into this main store and then upload file. That is the do file, it's upload file, and the upload file takes in a file variable. So now we have uploaded the file. So this will if we upload that, it will be shown in the server. So if it shows up in the server, then we can be sure that the file uploading functionality works. So let's go ahead and try uploading a file. So where was my file there? So I have like a sample video here, so let's upload that. Oh, there is some errors here. 404. Let's check the backend, what happened. Failed to load URL, use main store. So there is some issue with the it's main store.ts. It's not use main store, that's why it doesn't work. Use main store. So now let's check if there is any error. Okay, now let's try it once again. Make sure that we have the console open so that we can check if something was wrong. So take the file. Okay, 404 bad request, so something happened. Upload video, it's because of that slash. So I was, so let's go ahead and check where everything went wrong. So it's in the API TS. So since we have added a slash here, we don't need a slash here, but since this looks a little bit better because it will try to segregate the base URL and the API URL. So I will just remove it from here. So we have to add a slash in the every other URL. So let's try it once again. Everything is loaded. So try that once again, and now we got a 500 error. So things are looking good, because yeah. Okay, so let's see what is happening in the server side. So it is trying to open videos 20sec.mb4 because something is not working as expected. Let's see what is happening. No, so let's see if it's because it's trying to open the folder named videos, but we don't have any folder named videos. So we have to make that folder first, videos. Okay, so now we have a folder named videos. Now we can try it once again. And I would like to restart the node server. Okay, now let's try it once again. Maybe it will work fine now. Yeah, it's uploading, so it's showing pending, and yeah. So now it's something related with FFmpeg. So let's go ahead and check what's happening there. Okay, a specified file name does not contain any image sequence pattern. Conversion failed. Let's see if there is this file there. Oh, I understand what is happening here. So let's go ahead and look at the code. So here we are trying to take the file inside the video's original name, and then we are passing the directory as assets images, which does not exist there. So that is why FFmpeg is throwing that error. So let's make that also, and I'll pass the p flag so that it will create the assets folder also, images. Let me make sure that it's assets images. Yeah, so let's go ahead and create that folder. So there is like assets images. So it doesn't have any files as of now, but let's check videos, and there is this 20sec.mb4 which we uploaded from the front end. So the file uploading is working. So the thumbnail generation is what is not working. So let's remove this file, because it will cause problems, because we have not anticipated that, and we have not written any exception handling as of now. So let's remove that videos 20sec.mb4. okay, so now doesn't have any videos. So let's try it once again. Reload the node server, reload the front end, and let's upload that once again. Now it returns 200. So we got the expected status. Let's go ahead and check if everything is correct. So let's check the videos. The file is there, so uploading works. Now let's check assets images, and here we can see that 20sec.jpg has been created. Let's see what it should have a number, maybe, because this just so here is what the thumbnail looks like. So it's a small frame that we actually took from the video. So thumbnail generation works, and it has been added to the server, and also it should be in the database also. So that's the next thing that we need to check. So there is this app SQLite viewer or something, SQLite DB browser for SQLite. So this is the app. Yeah, I hope okay. So let's open the database here. Let's open the database from there. Users, Neovim, projects, YouTube, and here is the database. So here you can see that the video file, and we can there is like one file, video file, and then I think we can execute the SQL. Here select star from video file, and run that. You can see that that file has been added to the database, so our DB connections also work. So that's good thing. So let's see. Yeah, so now the uploading part is finished. So we can successfully upload a file and it will create a thumbnail. So that works. Now the next part is that we need to access the files that we create by uploading this thing. So and then we need to we need a method to list those files, and then we can stream those files. So that's the next part, where we are going to get the list of files and then display it in the front end. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.